going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? The Bake Sale Episode 8 is coming at you live. I am one half of your host tonight, Mr.
Three-fourths?
Three-quarters, yeah. Mr. Mood 616, and of course we got Jason to the Bosco in the house. What's up, Jay?
What's up, man? Just watched the Sox with a nice victory over the Jays.
Oh, you're going to bring that? But you're not going to talk about what happened last night, are you?
Well, no, we won't talk about that. We're just looking towards the future, that's all.
Right. Fucking bullpen again tonight, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we might. If we can get a split of the series, I'll be happy. So
right.
We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Right, you just never know with these teams. They always seem to play close games, and this one kind of got a little bit out of control. But mid-game it was like a pitcher's duel, which is kind of cool because those guys were roommates when they played for in college, man. Stripling and
cool.
So that was kind of cool to see that happen tonight. But yeah, and then Thornton comes in, and when I was cooking dinner tonight for the family, and as soon as Thornton came in, I was like, game over. I literally said that out loud. I was like, fucking over. And of course he comes in 2 batters later, they're already losing. I'm like, fuck sakes, man. Stupid. Thornton's useless, man. Just fucking useless. But anyways, yeah, man. Baseball. We could probably sit here and talk baseball all night, to be honest. It's going to be an interesting season for sure for both teams, I think. But yeah, the reason why we're here, episode 8, is actually an album that Mr. Jason picked for us to review. I will admit, man, I was not overly stoked, even remotely enthused about doing this record, besides the fact that Kno from the Cunninlynguists, and I had to represent the hoodie tonight.
Yeah, I saw you had the hoodie on there. So.
That because I know that Kno and Sadistik worked with each other back in 2015 when they did and that record was called Phantom Limbs, I think.
Yeah, it was more like an EP. It was only like 6 tracks.
Right.
There's an interlude in there, so
right.
Full album by today's stature, but
right, exactly. And I had actually heard that, and that was something I thought was pretty decent. But we'd actually reviewed one of Sadistik's albums prior. On a different show. What was the name of that record? I can't even remember.
I think that one we did was Altars, wasn't it?
Don't think it was Altars, actually.
No? I can't even remember now, but I remember we did review one. But
yeah, it was...
I might be able to look it up here.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember what it's called. Oh, Flowers for My Father, I think it was.
No, that was like way back.
That's 2013. No, so it probably. Oh, it was Altars. Never mind. I recognize the album cover now. It was Altars.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was definitely Altars. I recognize the album cover now. Okay.
Yeah, because like Flowers for My Father was the first album I actually heard of Sadistik. I didn't hear his first album before Flowers for My Father. So
right, and my. It was pretty much my introduction to Sadistik. I didn't really know much about him except for that he was from Seattle. He was from that area and stuff like that. And it kind of makes actually sense now listening to more Sadistik, like how moody his music is and stuff like that, because it rains constantly in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So it actually does, where he comes from is very representative of his music. It's pretty interesting. But I always thought that he was a really interesting lyricist. I wasn't overly huge on the beats. I think that was my biggest problem on Altars. I haven't listened to it since we reviewed it or whatever, but to go back to Phantom Limbs, I was familiar with that project and I did give it a shot. I wasn't like overly in love with it. I actually re-listened to it actually a couple nights ago, and just to kind of compare that first incarnation of Kno and Sadistik to this brand new 2022 album, which is entitled Bring Me Back When the World Is Cured. And I gotta say, man, like Kno and Sadistik both stepped up their game on this project, man. Like Kno's production is always ridiculously good, but this is just like next level fucking shit right here.
Yeah.
And Sadistik's rhymes are like so perfect for the beats. It's just incredible. Like I would love to know what the process was with this record, because if Sadistik had shit written and Kno went in and kind of saw what they were dealing with, because they're both kind of into death. It's kind of funny. Like they both have this kind of very moody, pessimistic, nihilistic attitude towards death and stuff. It's kind of interesting. So I'm wondering what the process was, if like Kno had a bunch of beats and then Sadistik wrote to it, or vice versa, because I gotta say, man, like it fits perfectly. I just feel like Kno didn't have these beats made, and then Sadistik, maybe they worked on a project and they're like, hey, this is what we want to do, and they just totally did a collabo. Because like a lot of recordings nowadays are guys picking out beats and okay, we're going to use those beats for this project and stuff. It's not like a very cohesiveness. This one right here is like, man, rhymes to beats are like 100% matching Like it's almost freaky, man. It's really crazy. So
yeah, and when I heard this, I was like, Moods actually might like this. I know, like you said, you're not the biggest Sadistic fan, and stuff in the past you might have heard, like with Alters, especially like those beats, and he has a lot of EPs that are more trap beat style,
right?
And
right.
he has a lot of different styles that he does, and you know, if you listen to his last album, Haunted Gardens, like that's totally different than anything that was on Alters, and it's different than what's on this album. Right. So he can do a lot of different styles, and I was hoping with Kno's beats and the way this album feels that you would get into him and realize, you know, what an awesome writer he is, basically.
Yeah, man. One of my favorite things about this record was the fact that, like, you know, if you go to Sadistic's YouTube page, he does have all the lyrics written out, or you can go to, you know, there's other sites where all the lyrics are written out too, but it's kind of cool to follow along with someone that's so highly regarded as a major lyricist, to actually read along and just kind of understand, because this is the type of things that you study in school. Like, he's breaking it right down. It's very in depth. There's a lot of references. There's a lot of, like, he even rhymes and alliterations. Like, it's just, there's so much going on in this. It's kind of cool that, like, if you go to genius.com, like, all the lyrics are there. It's really, really handy and stuff. But you're right, though, man. Like, I've always been a huge fan of Cunninlynguists. Kno's production over the years is just, it's gotten so much better, in my opinion. Like, the early stuff is really awesome, but he's got, like, this type of sound that he's really incorporated into his producing is really interesting, because I didn't know what to expect from this. I really didn't. Like, I mean, he had this style when they did the 2015 project a little bit. It was synth beats over, like, hard drums and stuff. And this one, like, it's like this. It's very electronic. It's very heavy synth bass lines with these boom bap drums. And some songs are a little different with the drums and stuff, but overall feel to the record from top to bottom is very similar from song to song. It's like, you know, it's very electronic, heavy synth, but then it also has these really amazing soft vocal samples that he does in every single song. It's like cohesiveness. Like, some people might get a little bit bored if they're not really into that type of shit, because every song is kind of structured the same a little bit. But I find that he finds these really amazing vocal samples, and he kind of flips them. He kind of chipmunks them a little bit, and he tweaks them a little bit. But I don't know where the fuck all these samples are coming from, man. They work really damn well as choruses.
Yeah, I actually was looking up. I would take the vocal sample lyrics, like what they were, and I would just search them online to try to find them. I couldn't find songs with these vocal, like with the lines in them anymore. Like, nothing was coming up for me. So
I know.
I don't know where he gets them, but yeah, it's definitely cool.
Yeah, it is cool, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I haven't heard any of these samples before. And I'm like, that's a sign of a true digger. Like, this guy was sampling some crazy music. Like, we have no idea what the actual songs are like, but the way he flips it, I'm sure it's really damn cool, because it does work really well in a lot of these tracks. Like, they fit so fucking well, man. I was just like, holy shit, dude. But I will say, like, you know, Sadistik is definitely one of those rappers, one of those MCs that is probably not for everybody. And in fact, as much as I am going to say right off the top, I really do enjoy this album a lot, it's not a record I could listen to every single day, because it's so damn moody. It's really, really dark. It's very moody. It's very pessimistic. It's very nihilistic at times. Like, there's a lot of shit about, you know, obviously he's got, you know, a couple songs about, you know, raindrops, like volume, like, it makes sense. Seattle rains all the fucking time. And Seattle actually has the highest suicide rate in America, where Vancouver has the highest suicide rate in Canada, and they're side by side. Like, I used to go to Seattle all the time, and I lived in Vancouver, so I know the weather. I've been there, so it's very representative of the suicide angle of this album. It's very dark, man. He's got multiple songs about suicide. Like, there's 3 or 4 songs that are basically referencing in different ways to death, and like it's really like sonic in that way, because you're just like, my God, like, if I'm in I've been in a really good mood the last couple weeks, and listening to this record, I was like, I'm like, damn. But it was very perfect, because we've had a lot of rain the last week too. Oddly enough, like, it's been pissing. This has been the ugliest April I've seen in a lot of years. It's been really nasty. We usually have really nice Aprils.
It's actually raining really hard here right now.
So we usually have really nice Aprils, but it has been an abysmal month. But so this was a perfect album to kind of get into that mood and just kind of really understand where he's coming from, because, you know, the outside weather was really kind of setting it up and stuff. And wow, man, I gotta say, man, like, it's very cool. And I will note one more thing before, you know, I'll let you talk before I just talk the whole fucking show. That I'm
glad you're excited about this album. Well, I wasn't sure, but I had hope that this would be the one that you would really click in with.
Just his ability to reference things is super cool, because I really like that. I'm not like a huge name dropper. Like, I like the game, but he literally overdoes it. He name drops like 30 people in every song he does. Like, it's almost overkill sometimes, but he's not necessarily name dropping. He references certain things and you have to figure it out. It's kind of cool. Where I do, like, I noted, I went through and I listened to this record just picking out the references and noting what they are, and then kind of listen through it and see how he incorporates it. And it's really fucking, it kind of got me jacked up. But, you know, as a whole project, man, it's pretty interesting, man. It's definitely pretty interesting stuff. So,
yeah, and with the references as well, like a lot of times, like he's a huge horror fan, as you are, obviously. So I was hoping there would be more horror references in this. There didn't seem to be as many as he usually drops, but I'm sure you picked up a few things that I didn't know about.
Yeah, there's a few horror references throughout the album, but there's a lot of movie references in general, like overall, not just horror. There's a lot of other things that kind of make sense. That we'll get into and stuff, which is pretty cool, because I'm very familiar with a lot of different genres of film too, and especially what he's referencing here too. So that's very cool. But I mean, I have learnt over time that Sadistik is a huge cinephile. He's not just a big horror fan. He likes cinema in general, which is very cool, and it helps you write these type of things, because if you didn't know these things, you wouldn't be able to do this, right? So, you know, knowledge is power, really, when it comes to writing. So, it's very cool, man. It's very, very cool. So.
Yeah, like coming into a Sadistik album, I'm always with the thought of, even if I don't like the beats or the music, I'm still going to enjoy just reading his lyrics and finding, because there's so many different references and even words I've never even heard of before. So I'm sitting here looking up individual words and things that I'm like, where the hell's, like, so many times when I'm listening to his albums, I'm just like, what the hell? Like, I just have to stop and listen to it over and over and over, like the same passages in the lyrics. Is like, God, it's brilliant, man. It's like the shit he comes out with. It just blows me away every time I listen to anything he puts out.
Yeah, he's really interesting with wordplay. It's very cool how he flips things, and then you listen, you hear it, or you're listening, and you go, oh shit, that's so cool the way he did that. Like, it takes you a second to figure it out, but it's like you can figure it as long as you get the references. Like, there's a lot of references with wordplay. Yeah. There's a really cool basketball one in this album too that I thought was really neat the way he did it.
Yeah, I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool how that was done. But yeah, I mean, dude, like, it's a very, very moody cinematic album. It makes perfect sense, you know, for somebody that comes from where he does and he's a cinephile. Everything about this record makes complete sense. It really does. You know, I will say Sadistik probably isn't for everybody. You know, okay. So here's the thing with Sadistik. So when we originally did Altars, and I'd heard the project, you know, Phantom Limbs and stuff, I'd never ever saw what Sadistik looked like until like the last couple weeks.
Oh, really?
Because I'd never seen a video from him. I just heard the music, and I never bothered to like look him up, because I don't really give a shit. Yeah. But there was some videos that he had done, so I was like, well, fuck it, I'll check out the videos. And then I was like, whoa, that guy doesn't look the part, except for when he opens it, he's got like chromed out teeth or some shit. He's iced out fucking teeth, but he looks like he's a guitar player in like a rock metal band or something. Like, just stereotypical, right? Yeah.
He pretty much always wears horror shirts and stuff, so. Right,
and he just kind of looked that part, and I was like, man, this dude, like, if you saw Sadistik walking down the street wearing the horror shirt, the way he looks, you would just think that he was like and it kind of made me laugh too. I'm like thinking to myself, if I mention this on there, people are gonna think, well, you don't look the part either, because you got long hair with a beard, you're wearing horror shirts all the time. I'm like, I fucking totally, but it's just kind of, I don't have the iced out teeth though. So
yeah, like years ago, like he used to look, you know, like he almost looked kind of preppy at times. Like when he was younger, he wore like, you know, like polo shirts, and he had like real like shaved head, short hair. But I guess after Idea passed away is when he started growing his hair out. So that was sort of part of that.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, that's always cool little anecdotes to know about. But so the brand new album, No, Sadistik, Bring Me Back When the World is Cured is a very appropriate title for the album, given the fact that like Bring Me Back is kind of referring to the fact that he's like, you know, he's dead, you know, he's basically committed suicide. It's such a funny structure to this album too. Like he talks about suicide so much in this record, and it's funny kind of like towards the latter. Like he's track 16 on the record, Quietus, is basically talking about his death, right? And then the next song, God Mode, is basically talking about how he's like he can achieve anything in life by being invincible and stuff. I just thought that was a very interesting way to like kind of ladder out the album, because most of the shit before is very, very dark, man. Like so much references to like, just dark shit and stuff. He's not straight up saying that he wants to like kill himself. He's just referencing a lot and stuff. But
it's like it's close to be like he could be close to suicide or thinking about suicide. It's not that he's going to do it, but he's there at that point where you think about it a lot, things of that nature. But that's what I always said about Sadistik as well, is like, his music definitely isn't for everyone. But if you just take the time to read his lyrics, like you have to admit he's one of the best writers right now that I can think of.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, man, like, for someone that I love good writing and music. And another thing about him I find very interesting, considering he's so moody, and he does write, a lot of people might kind of hear the music and kind of get wrapped up in what they're hearing instead of listening. And every once in a while you might catch those references of suicide, and it just kind of correlates to the music and stuff. You might think he's a little bit one-dimensional, but he does have a lot of different type of topics on here. Like he talks about nostalgia with his growing up and things like that. And there's a really good reference in that track too to a fucking classic movie that he uses, and it's very well done. You wouldn't get it if you've never seen the movie, but it makes complete sense in the context of the song. But he does mix it up quite a bit.
The Orson Welles reference?
Yeah, where he references Rosebud. Right, because that's the reveal at that end of the movie, and it's basically a callback right to his child. The whole movie, that's what it's about, right? And it's about that, and that's the whole movie is the reason for Rosebud. For the people out there who haven't seen Citizen Kane, I feel like I shouldn't be even worried about spoiling a movie that came out in 1941. But sometimes
I think it's even one you can watch on YouTube for free.
Probably, it's classic Orson Welles stuff, But I think a lot of people too like would even look at Sadistik and be like, "Bro, I ain't checking out that shit, man." Like it's just white dude, long, like he looks like probably super corny to a lot of people, like super mad corny. I wish
that like if you hear, especially if you hear one of the more trap beat oriented songs, you'd probably think that definitely. But I would like this to be maybe an introduction to people to Sadistik, really. I mean, he's had other albums that are like Flowers for My Father was a more emotional type album. It's nothing like Alters at all. Like I said, this last album's nothing like Alters at all. There's a lot of really personal songs, but this one I think would hit better with almost anyone. Like it had the beats, like Kno's production I think is my favorite thing he's ever done. Like this is it.
Yeah, dude, it's really crazy how Kno's production is so consistent through the record, and it doesn't even sound repetitive. He's using the very same kind of structure in these songs. Like
it's almost like synthwave beats. Like
it is. Like, it is 100% synthwave beats. And like the reason why I love Kno's production that he's came to is I'm a huge synthwave fan. Like I love this new stuff that sounds like I do this all the time. I'll show my friends like all this new synthwave stuff. Like I'm subscribed to a bunch of channels. Like I love that shit, right? And
I became a fan of synthwave with the movie Drive.
Right. See, I always liked it because like the synth music was always a big thing in a lot of the films I watched in the 80s, right? So when I came across synthwave, I would say probably like the new age synthwave that legitimately sounds like it was recorded in like the 80s. Like this new stuff is incredibly produced. It's so well done. And like I'll show people this stuff and they're like, that didn't come out in the 80s. I actually had this conversation with my buddy who was over here last weekend, and he was like, the fuck? And I'm like, no, this is brand new shit, dude. He's like, what the fuck? And I was telling him, like, because we were listening to this shit, and I was like, oh, bro, you got it. Because he's a huge Cunninlynguists fan, like massive Cunninlynguists fan. One of his favorite groups. He fucking loves Kno's production. I'm like, oh, bro, I totally forgot, man. And no, this is like 2 weeks or whatever. And so I was just kind of getting into the record. I'm like, yo, this is an album we're going to be reviewing. I want to get your opinion on the show. So we put it on. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, holy fuck. He was just like blown away. And I'm like, because he was listening to the beats. He's like, because he loves that shit, right?
Yeah.
And then we kind of got down and listened to the lyrics a little bit. I mean, we were getting pretty fucked up, but he was like, damn. He's like, dude, this is crazy shit, man. So
nice.
But yeah, the synth, but it is really, really, it's like boom bap synthwave.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much how you would describe the music.
And there are a lot of other little touches thrown in there, of course, but it's beautiful production, man. Like it's so good.
Yeah, like, and I would really like to get this. I wish they would release this album with like a bonus disc of behind the scenes of making it, because I feel like they made this album together for some reason.
Yeah.
It just seems like they were in the studio.
I think they both live in LA now. So
right.
Like Sadistik, I'm pretty sure lives in LA.
I know No does. I know No does. Yeah, he definitely. I think he has his own studio.
I think they probably did get together with this because even the songs that aren't like synthwave influence at all, like they're still perfect. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It just seems way too cohesive. It seems way too well done to be, sending beats and like we've talked about this many times. Like if you're in the studio working with somebody, you can throw ideas off where you can't just like grab your phone and text. So you don't have that same connection with people, man. And when you're side by side, you can easily get things totally done differently. It's just amazing. Like, and I've been there before in the studio recording things and stuff. And like, it's amazing how harder it is to do shit with people in a different area. You just don't have that same connection. And I feel like this album is a product of what we don't get a lot in today's music making and hip hop, because most hip hop isn't made together, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of
and
guest
they do
verses.
have songs as well where they're both on the track, so they're both rapping as well. So
right.
And they sound really good, especially the last track where they're in the third verse, they're going back and forth there. So
yeah, the Serpent song, man, which is a really interesting idea, and that's again going back to him writing different things and stuff. And this one's basically it's he plays Lucifer and he's questioning God about like the hell on earth, like the fuck did you do? Like it's basically the fuck did you do, man? Like and I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I love that premise, man. Like people call me the bad guy, but you look at this shit. There's one of the greatest lines in that song we'll get to too.
Yeah, we might as well just start going through the tracks because we're going back and forth talking about them. So
all right. So the first track is called You Don't Know.
Well, there's Burning Suns first.
Oh yeah. So Burning is the intro, and it's more or less an instrumental track, kind of. It has a little bit of
Man, I was hoping it was a full song because I really love the feel of that beat too, and even what Sadistik is saying, it's almost like a singing type of verse there. It's not really a verse, but it's a couple lines. Just bring me back when the world is cured. I dream in black under burning sun. So, but yeah, I really like that beat though.
Yeah, and it really does set up the album perfectly, because what you hear there is what you're getting. For the most part, like it really does set it up, and so that's pretty cool. So you get into the first full-length song, which is You Don't Know, which is man, like right away, like I'm glad this was like the first song on the record. It's kind of interesting too. It's like the longest written song too. It's the only song on the album that has like 3 verses, and he put it first on the record. I wouldn't say it has the most lyrics. I would say probably God Mode probably does, because he ripped like 232 bar verses in that. So that's actually that's 64 bars of rhymes. But this one I think is like 3/16. But
when he came on, he's like Sad the Impaler. That's sort of like an alias he has. So I knew where we were heading with this one right away. So
right.
It's a pretty sad, somber beginning to the album.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, man. Like this one right here, like. Oh, I love the chorus in this too. Like this no beat was just, it had me just going, okay, I'm in for something different here. I'm totally in for something different. Like, but like lyrically, man, ridiculous. So ridiculous, man. Like bed of flowers, head of matches, catches till I'm left in black. Birds of prey may peck and packs my vertebrae and Jenga stacks. Peck and paws, intersecting fangs in every hand. I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly, man.
I'm like, when he's referencing Sam Peckinpah there, I was like, motherfucker. I'm like, okay, now this guy really does know his shit, man, because like if you're referencing Sam Peckinpah, who's known for directing The Wild Bunch, which is considered one of the best like North American westerns, and he did Straw Dogs, the original Straw Dogs, I should say, and then Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, which is another one I really like. Convoy is pretty cool. The Osterman Weekend. What else did he do? The Killer Elite he did. The Getaway. Like he did a lot of really fucking great movies, man. Like if you know Peckinpah, man, you know Peckinpah. Peckinpah was known for like slow motion shit. That's what he was known for in his films. Like he kind of coined that shit and stuff. So
I'm loving how excited you are here over Sadistik lyrics, man. This is awesome.
I just never hear people rhyme like that. Like when he's like Peckinpah's intersecting fangs, I was like, whoa, God, damn, dude. I was like, shit. I'm like, there's a couple moments in this record where I was like, I kept rewinding and going, damn, that flows so well.
Yeah.
Like, so crazy. I mean, there's stuff on here. I have no idea what he means by it. Because when he doesn't have any like straight up references, I it's hard to get completely into the mind of somebody.
Yeah.
But
yeah, a lot of it's up to interpretations. I mean, there's a lot of things you could take one way or another, but this is the way I am with every Sadistik album, man. This is why I always try to talk about Sadistik, and everybody's like, oh, hey, Sadistik's whatever. But you get it now.
Yeah, I get it I totally get it from a lyrical standpoint. And, like I said, though, before, and that was my thing with Altars, was like the beats just... I mean, when we did that back probably in 2017, I want to say 5, 6, like anything trap in those days, I was like pretty close-minded. Like I couldn't get into it, man. Like I just couldn't do it. It was something about it. I've grown to like some of the music. Like there's certain cats like you'd be surprised that I like, well, you commented even when I, started off my shelves and I had 2 Chainz was the very first thing you saw and you're like, okay. Yeah. And I actually think 2 Chainz is a pretty good rapper. Like when he does guest appearances, people might not like his solo, his music is a little bit different and stuff, but he's actually pretty good, man. He's not bad, and I find him entertaining. And that's the thing. But then I got into some of the, I wouldn't say this shit is like the terrible trap shit, but it's around that territory. And I got into it, man. I was just looking for shit to listen to, man. This is how I became liking Manny Fresh beats from fucking 97 to 2005. Like but it's also just knowing about people though too. Like I reference Manny Fresh all the time because I always thought this shit was just like, what the fuck is going on with this? And then you see these interviews and you read these interviews with Manny Fresh and you're like, this dude is a fucking musician, man. Like he loves music and shit. Like he talks about all his influences. Like I'm just like, bro, like this guy's a fucking hip hop head. He just makes shit that's different, Yep. And then I look at Sadistik and I'm like, it's the exact same shit, man. You can't judge a book by its cover. You look at him, you're like, okay. People are like, man, that's fucking corny looking motherfucker. But no, man, you gotta really kind of look through that shit, open up the book and read it for what it's worth. And when you dive into these lyrics, you're like, shit, dude, this guy's very educated. He's very fucking educated with a lot of shit, like religion to like wordplay and movies and shit. And just having that education allows you to do records like this. It's very, very special, man. It's very special. Plus, you have to have the ability to put it together, though, too. You can be smart as fuck and not be able to write a rhyme.
He can handle the rhyming part of it as well. So it's and he has, like I said before as well, like he has so many different styles that he can do. Like he's not limited to just like an album like this or a trap album. He can do it all, man. Like he has so many different flows, and you might not like his voice, you might not like things of that nature. That might just put you off in general, but. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I'm so glad right now that you were digging this album.
Actually, it's funny that you bring up not liking a voice because I actually mentioned you in the shelf video I did put up yesterday because I was I was in the B section and I came to Blabbermouth and I'm like, man, I'm a big fan. I'm like, if you're a big fan of like flippity flap rap from like '93, like DOS Effects, like that type of shit, and I'm like, I think Jay likes the music, but he doesn't like his voice. Yeah. And I'm like, I get that from a standpoint, but a lot of times voices, it has to be like some really annoying shit for me to be like, okay, like some Danny Brown shit. Like, remember Danny Brown verse on PAX?
Oh man, you hated Danny Brown so bad.
It used to just kill me, dude. But then he's toned it down in records since then, man. He's not as bad. Like,
yeah, I remember I told you to listen to that one. I was like, that song he had with Q-Tip. I was like, man, just listen to this. And you're like, oh damn, this is pretty good.
Yeah, and the whole record, it wasn't just the Q-Tip produced tracks. It was the whole record was pretty good. And I was like, shit, dude. But I did like the album Black and Brown he did with Black Milk though too. I didn't mind it. Like I thought that was a good kind of contrast in, beats and rhymes with those guys and stuff. But he was one of those cats that was kind of iffy with me. But I get the whole voice thing from that perspective for sure.
Yeah.
I don't really like to incorporate image. Like I'm not that. I don't judge people just the way they look based, on music and stuff. Because I mean, there's people that just don't look parts, and sometimes it's actually kind of cool, man. It's kind of fucking cool. Like, I mean, so, but. Yeah, the first song, man, I love this track. This is a great way to open up the record. It's 3 really dope verses. Like, really dope verses, man. Yeah, the third verse is, and that's the cool thing about this album, too. Like, he writes the first 2 in a kind of a different flow, and then the third one, he kind of shortens it up. It's a little bit quicker and stuff, and pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like one of the lines he had. He's like, "I looked up to God, but he jumped the shark and left me hellborn. Maybe it was a mirage or facade I fell for." So he's like throughout this whole album, there's a lot of references to God, and
Yeah.
it almost like it's like he's a godly figure in some points, but it's definitely a good track.
Yeah, I get that, man. He definitely he references God in certain things, but it's not like super like Bible heavy, if you know what I mean. Like there's moments, but like it's kind of cool, like how they do the last song on the album too, without being like overly preachy and shit. It's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah, it is definitely.
All right, so the next track is called "The Earth Was Empty." Man, dude, the fucking the sample on this one, the vocals, like I was like, okay, crazy. I think every like vocal sample on here, I was just blown away. I kept like repeating them because I'm like, where the fuck did he get all this shit, man? I'm like,
yeah, man, I have no clue where he got this stuff from.
It's crazy, man. So this is actually a track where he does reference somebody that I'm very, very familiar with.
Dario Argento.
Yeah, what's the I toke until my aerial veins are very varicose. See, again, like I toke until my aerial veins very varicose, pain bearing Argento gentle tarot strokes. Yeah, that's pretty fucking dope, man. So Argento, obviously, you know, he's a horror director, giallo director, most famous for probably doing Suspiria and Tenebrae and Deep Red, stuff like that. So
even I've heard of him, and I'm a horror fan. I like horror movies, but nothing like to the level that you're at. So
right.
But even I know who he is, so it's cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool to hear Dario Argento reference in music, man. I'm just like, damn, I'm liking this dude. I'm liking this guy, man.
Yeah.
You know what the weird?
I like the instrumental on this as well. It was like an upbeat sort of instrumental, and the end or the coda of the song is pretty cool as well, where the guitar comes in, and it almost sounded like something Alchemist would make, like that the ending with the guitar portion of it.
Right. You know, I thought it was interesting because I was reading in his like on the YouTube video, it had a little bit of breakdown of who else worked on the track and stuff, and it said that J-Zone did percussion on this.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really surprise me because J-Zone is very musically inclined, plays the drums and plays he plays a bunch of shit, right? So actually,
I like watching his videos where he's just playing drums. It's funny.
Yeah. Like J-Zone actually plays in like a rock type band now, doesn't he? Isn't that what he does for music? Like he kind of gave up.
Sure.
Because I can't remember the name of the group right now. It's totally slipped my mind, but I know he's been doing that for like the last 5 or 6, because he hasn't done a record in a while, like a hip hop record. So he went off and started doing this other type of project. He'd probably just, try something new. He's a musician, right?
Yeah.
Right,
people need drummers, right? So
right, exactly. So yeah, and I haven't really listened to any of it, but I need to check it out, man, because I love J-Zone, dude. Like that guy is he's hilarious to me. He's so funny, man.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, this track right here is pretty cool, man. It's just, kind of referencing like the earth was empty. It's like it's kind of self-explanatory. It's like his contrast of his life being empty to the world being his life being empty because the world's empty kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
one of the cool lines on there, he's like, leave the population on the surface lost in observation. God is not who made him watch him talk against the ravens. Plus the peace I keeps unregistered. No assalamu alaikum. I thought that was really cool, man. Right. Yeah. I mean, we could sit here like all night and just like we could break down every song and go through all the lyrics. We would be here for hours.
I know.
It's insane.
I know. It's just, and that was the thing. Like, I just kind of wanted to do like a little bit here and there, but there is really so much. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Some of the words that he used, man, like, oh man, I don't even know what the fuck that word is right there. You have those moments of like, shit, what is that? But no, I really like this track. This is a cool track, man.
Yeah, when I sit down to listen to it, I listened to the tracks like a bunch of times, just taking it in musically because I love the beat so much on this. But when it's time to sit down and really take in the lyrics, it's like I get the things open on the internet ready to type in stuff because there's no way I'm gonna know what the hell he's talking about all the time. There's so many words I don't understand even, so it's just constantly typing while I'm listening and reading the lyrics.
Yeah, man, he definitely uses words that I'm like, oh shit, I gotta cross-reference that too. Through a dictionary or something, which is pretty cool, man. It was just pretty cool. Some people might say that's I don't know what the word for it, maybe I don't know what you want to call that, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's neat. I think it's pretty fucking
and I mean, he's referenced before, like that, like people that he really admires or looks up to are like Aesop Rock and Lupe Fiasco. So I mean, like those guys are, you know, in sort of that same realm. So it's not something that you're gonna be able to just sit down and listen to once and understand everything and just move on with your day. So.
No, absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. Aesop Rock makes a lot of sense because Aesop kind of writes in like straight metaphors, and he's got such a unique writing style that it's like, like it's just, you could listen to his albums 100 times and probably never fully
exactly.
Figure out exactly what he's saying. It's pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah, and they had a song, Cunninlynguists last album, wasn't it? Wasn't there a song that had Aesop and Sadistik on it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think that was on the last album they put out, I think.
On the last Cunninlynguists? Yeah, that was...
that was a while ago.
Fuck, what the hell's the name? I can't even remember the name of the album right now. Shit. Slipped my mind.
That was a while ago, man.
Yeah, they haven't dropped anything in a while. They've definitely been kind of on a hiatus. Obviously, Noah's been doing this stuff, and I don't know what Nadi's been doing.
Well, them and Sadistik are on like a tour, so I mean, I would hope that they're going to be putting out some new material as well. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would assume probably that's usually what, you go on tour and it leads to that type of thing. So,
yeah.
All right, so next track is called Ghostly Key. Man, dude, like this track right here, man, like I love the fact that it's like, it's very suicidal sounding, but it's also talking about like how the music is like the only thing that's really going to save you kind of thing. I like that. I really like that premise, like Ghostly Key. It's like a perfect title for it, man. I like that premise, man. Like you need the music, like legitimately need music to save your life. Like that's that's a very hard and in-depth thing to say, because he's not just like fucking around with that. Like he's literally talking about death or music kind of thing. But like, I think that one of the dopest fucking lines, or actually the beginning of this fucking song is just crazy, man. Car fumes poisoning my state again. Dark room, I only see the negative. Only show one side. It's like I'm tied to lock. Dark moons grow inside me like it's 9 o'clock. Their knives are sharp, but my pen's in Jinsu pent up against you. You Pentecostals can get pins and tissue, pent up issues. I'll press a pistol at your temple if I'm pessimistic. This impressionism isn't that impressive, is it? I'm like, bro. Oh my God. Like, I read that about 5 times in a row, and I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, okay. I stopped right there and went back at the beginning. I was like, okay, their knives are sharp, my pens. I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking crazy, man. I can't believe
the end of it is like, to me, is like even better. It's like the whole thing is just, and it's beautiful instrumental as well for it. And he has his video game references, like the ocarinas match the tones, golden sheen on the cartridges. I know the link. Right. So it's like that's his video game reference shit. He's got, oh my God.
Right.
This track is so good, man.
This track just fucking blew my shitter out, man. I was like, holy shit, dude. Yeah, definitely the fucking video game stuff. But yeah, it's short, but it's to the point, and it's a great instrumental. It's just great lyrics. It's just short, but I think it works for what it is, though.
It's perfect for what it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Sadistik's music I found pretty interesting. He doesn't really have, like, even though all the songs are kind of structured similarly, but like he'll have these shorter, like one verse tracks, and he'll have 2 longer ones, and then he has like the 32 bar verses, and he's got 3. Like he does mix it up. It's not like a lot of the records that we're listening these days, like, a lot of people are just doing like 2 16-bar verses. It seems like that's kind of like what it is. It's not even like the 3 16-bar verses anymore. It's 2 verses, move on to the next track, because you can't make your album more than 30 minutes. So why would you have a third verse on there, kind of thing? But he structures things a little bit different, and I think it's it's to the advantage of what he's writing. You don't need to extend anything when it doesn't need to be extended.
Yeah. Right.
You don't need a second verse there when you've already said what you need to say. So I really respect that. This is a really dope track, man. I think that's I can't even believe I got those lyrics out without really fucking that up. I was like, damn. But yeah, I know I was like, whoa, dude, shitter is hurting right now.
Shitter's blown.
It's fucking blown out. Track after that's called Apple Valley. This is the one that we were talking about earlier, that it's basically kind of he's like remembering the times as he had as a kid, and kind of referencing life growing up and stuff, talking about his father and things like that. And they've got this really cool reference to he references Rosebuds, which is obviously a direct reference to Citizen Kane, Orson Welles' classic film and stuff. So I thought that was just a really cool thing. I wasn't 100% sure, because he says, there's a line in here, he's like, my father used to read me horror tales. Words stuck to me like a scorpion's tail. Every year's the same now. No more footprints on the playground. He kind of pauses there. And it was interesting. I wasn't 100% sure if he was, because he said, my father used to read me horror tales. Words stuck to me like a scorpion's tail. I was wondering if he was referencing The Case of the Scorpion's Tail by Sergio Martino. It's a great giallo from the early 70s, which, you know, it kind of makes sense because if he knows Argento, he knows fucking, you know, Sergio Martino and stuff. And No More Footprints in the Playground. And there's another, Footprints on the Moon is another giallo film from the 70s too. So I was wondering if that was a direct thing to that, just kind of a play on it, but on the playground.
Probably is, yeah.
And so I was kind of looking at that going, oh, that might be what it is. So yeah, dude, it's good. It's just really good. Oh, he actually references Evil Ed. It's a horror film from 1995. He says, what does he say? Angels not compelled to visit, cell division when I spit in half. Evil Ed is simple math. I bleed a bit. Yeah,
I actually didn't know what the Evil Ed reference was.
Yeah, so
you mentioned that.
So Evil Ed is a film that came out in 1995. It's a Swedish horror film. It's basically, it's pretty much a parody. No, I wouldn't say. No, I shouldn't say parody, because that's a bad. It's satirical. It's definitely a satire.
Okay.
It's definitely a satire of Raimi's Evil Dead. It's a play on the words Evil Ed. You know, Evil Dead. And it's a really cool movie about a guy. He's an editor working for this production company, and he doesn't really like horror films and kind of gets forced into editing horror films. And it literally makes him go and fucking sane from editing these films. But the cool thing about the movie is, like, so it takes place, obviously, like, it takes place most of it in his house, but at his work job, like at his workplace, which is like the studio or whatever. There's tons of movie posters all through the movie and shit. And you like, it's kind of a cool game to like pick out what movie posters you see and stuff. And I was actually going to do a marathon based on Evil Ed one time, because I think I found about 13 or 14 movie posters, and I was going to watch all the movies. I was going to call it the Evil Dead or the Evil Ed marathon, and watch all the movies that had posters in there that I found. And kind of just something totally different. But there's enough movies to do like a 24-hour marathon. But it's a really fun Swedish film. It's actually in English too. So for the people out there, I've never seen it or whatever, but it's really fucking fun. It has a great release from Arrow Video. Got one a few years ago, and it's fully uncut, and it's in all its glory. It's fun, it's gory, it's ridiculous, it's so funny too. It's
I'll
really
have to check that out now. So
yeah. So I thought that was really cool that he referenced Evil Ed. I'm like, oh man, this motherfucker actually knows his shit, man. Because if you're referencing Evil Ed, it's not like it's not overly obscure, but it is obscure to people that don't really dive that deep into like horror films and stuff, because it is foreign though too, right? And
I saw he mentioned before he wants to write a horror movie. So, and I saw on his Twitter, like I can't remember what director it was, but some director actually wrote back to him on his Twitter saying, man, I'm down. Like, so he obviously must have been a fan of Sadistik as well, or knew who he was. So yeah. Wow. So in the future, he probably will do something. Like, he'll probably write a film.
Wow, that's really cool, man. I would like to know who that director was, because that's really interesting.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was now, but it was a while ago on his Twitter. I always look on his Twitter.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Well, but I found with this song Apple Valley is there's an Apple Valley Elementary School in Yakima, Washington, where he's from, and I saw that somebody mentioned like something about that, and he's like, yeah, that's what I was talking about. So
right.
And it's like, it's sort of reminiscing of his childhood, things of that nature. And one thought I thought was cool is where he has his arm, leg, arm, head, then Rakim camming at the noise box. So it's kind of referencing where Rakim was an influence when he was a kid. So
right. Yeah, that's really cool, because I kind of figured that Apple Valley was referencing something direct like that. Yeah. I just didn't know. I just didn't actually Google it or nothing, but that makes complete fucking sense now. Makes all the sense in the world. So that's really cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool, like, to just blatantly say Rakim's name with the arm, leg, arm. I love that. It was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man. I really like this, though, man, because it really does set it up for kind of like how the Orson Welles character in Citizen Kane, like, my father used to give me 16 quarters for the coin op. My mother used to try to give me orders, but I would boycott. I'm like, oh, bro. That's amazing. I love that shit right there. It's so good. What a great way to start off the track.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, so But yeah, I mean, we could keep saying all the instrumentals are amazing because they really are. I mean, there's probably more about the lyrics right now because there's only one track on this album I'm a little bit iffy on, and we'll get to that. So that was Apple Valley, track number 5. Number 6 is Carnelian.
Yep.
Which I had to look up because I knew the word and I wasn't 100% sure. I figured it was a Bible reference.
Yeah, I looked it up as well. So I was like carnelian, and then I found it was like, it's like a mineral or gemstone.
Yeah. So that's what it is. It's the red mineral found in like in the certain gemstone, and it's like a semi-precious stone. But anyways, that's the mineral that makes it red. And in the Bible, it actually means red-blooded. They use the word as in reference to being red-blooded, which makes complete sense.
It's like the same. It's like blood. It looks like blood, the color. So yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of figured it away. I was like, man, that must be referring to like some kind of Bible-ish. Because I'm looking at the lyrics going like, Christ died, but I didn't left blood pools and lied. I was like, okay. And then it kind of goes off about, and then he starts off the second verse with Christ lied through bluest obel's rain as much turned onto an ocean. Like his fucking lyrics, dude, are just like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, man, like it's like the part that's repeated. He's like, your Christ died, but I'm alive and high inside. I might have died upon a cross with albatrosses, fireflies, and cyanide. Get acid washed or idolized. I had to wash with idolized, revitalized in Babylon. I Babylon in spiral lines.
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
Come on, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. That's really fucking dope, dude.
God damn, man. Like, it's just,
Yeah, the end of that verse is ridiculous, man.
It is, man. It's nuts.
That poke the skin, I poke her face, can't show the pain or opponents win.
Yeah.
It's so dope, man. It's really good. Man, the chorus in this track is cool too, man. Really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, and on the last couple tracks as well, like those vocal samples, man, it's like they're awesome in these songs, man. It's just perfect.
Yeah, some of the choruses are so catchy, dude. Like just the way he flips those sample, and like they're sped up or slowed down, and they just work. He does it such a good job with incorporating those, and like
I was even wondering if maybe they had somebody singing them, but there's no credits like in the songs for anybody, so it's got to be samples.
Dude, I thought the exact same thing, but then I can't remember which one it is, and I'm like, it has to be a sample. It has to be a fucking sample. Because it's not exactly what the song title is. I can't remember which one it is now. And I'm like, no, this is definitely a sample, but it's just like, it's just flipped. You know, he does a lot to it, and it just incorporates the part. But I mean, that really does show how good of a producer No, it really is, man. It's fucking unreal, man. So, yeah, this is a really cool track. Like I said, the hook in the song is really catchy, super catchy, man. Then comes into the first track on the album that actually has a feature on it, called Mothlight, featuring Natty from, of course, the Cunninlynguists. Mothlight kind of referring to, well, like what moths do when they see light, they're basically committing suicide, right?
Yeah,
into the
they're
moth.
drawn to it, and
it's kind of like, you know, it's the light you see before you die, kind of thing. Mothlight. So I thought that was a really cool title for a track, but it's just so damn dark. It's like Mothlight. I'm like, oh fuck, totally right, right.
Yeah, the bass is booming on this one too, man.
Oh yeah, dude, this was crazy, man. I love this line in this track. Oh, what does it say? All their limbs get imprints of dog bites. Steal like Chris Paul. Get steel like Paul Pierce. Your disciples are flock of Paul's peers. I'm like, I love that, man. Chris Paul, of course, being CP3, and then Paul Pierce, where it says Chris Paul gets steel like Paul Pierce. You know, Chris Paul stealing the ball, but steel like Paul Pierce, who won an NBA championship, I believe, in 2008 with the Celtics. Yeah. So that's a really cool way of incorporating one word for a double mean. Like, that's really cool how he did that. I was like, shit, bro. And I caught that like on the first time I was listening to it. I was like, motherfucker, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like we're sports fans, so we catch on to stuff like that immediately. So
this track right here actually has a lot of shit that I was really catching on to here. He mentions, there's a really cool line in here. Where's this? My heart's only darkness. I learned to define one hit blood. What does that say? One hit blood 'em. Frank Booth in the booth come to get love letters. Velvet tip tongue gun gripped in confusion. And I was like, oh, dude, that's so dope, dude. Frank Booth, of course, is the character that Dennis Hopper played in Blue Velvet, which is the David Lynch film. And I was like, bro, Frank Booth in the booth come to get love letters. I'm like, what the fuck? Velvet tip tongue gun gripped in confetti. I'm like, fuck, man, that's so dope, man.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way of flipping, you know, that he just used the character's name and velvet tip tongue gun. I was like, dude, bro. I'm like, okay, seriously. And I love where's the other one? Disaster artist gets catatonic. Cats get skinned for acting brolic. Turn a hallway into a Jackson Pollock. And
he references that a couple times.
He does. He references Jackson Pollock a couple times. And I know Jackson Pollock from college doing art shit and stuff. And Jackson Pollock was an artist, I believe, in the early 1900s to like the 40s or 50s. He died super young. He died like in his mid 40s. He died around our age, actually. Yeah. But he was known for like a drip effect. He painted in drips, and I thought they would paint the walls like a Jackson Pollock. I was like, oh, bro, that's a vivid fucking sight there for people that if you know what Pollock is for, you're like, oh, bro, that's an awesome line, man.
And he references Hieronymus Bosch in it as well later on. So it's like he's got all these different artists, and it's so much shit, man.
Right. Yeah, I when you said Jackson Pollock, I was like, shit, man. I'm like, I actually know who Jackson Pollock is. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's just a really great play on words and stuff. But and then Natty comes in for his and like instantly, it's like it just sounds so Cunninlynguists, man. Yeah, like instantly, you're like, oh fuck, man, it's crazy. And his verse is dope too, man.
It is, yeah, for sure.
Sounds so good, man. He actually references. He has a Voorhees reference in here. So to Jason Voorhees, which kind of makes sense, you know. And then
Sadistik had that line about Artax, like from Neverending Story. He's like, sank like Artax, then bloomed a bouquet.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
it's just like there's so many different movies, and oh my god, it's so much stuff in here. It's insane. Right. But yeah, Natty's verse was really good too, though, man. I was loving that.
Yeah, dude. Like, I grew from propane and blazed in a tar patch, sank like Artax, and bloomed in a bouquet. Oh, man. See, that vision right there? Like, if you were a fan of the Neverending Story, you know that, like, that movie's not for kids. It's so traumatizing. When Artax fucking sinks in the mud, and it's like, it's so visual, dude. It's so vivid. Done because it's a white horse.
Like, he's like trying to get him out of there. Yeah, the horse,
and he's like screaming at him, but it's a white horse.
He's in the swamp of sadness going down.
Oh my god, he's this white horse in this muck, and he's sinking, and you're like, bro, that's brutal, man. Like, I remember watching that shit as a kid, and like in class, it was like, I don't know.
Dude, you watched it in class as well?
Yeah, man. And
that's the first time I saw this movie was in school. Like they played it like we were on like some random end of summer day right at school, and we watched fucking Neverending Story.
Yeah, well, because it's funny because it's dubbed as a kids movie, which it still can play as a kids movie, but like as an adult you watch and you're like, man, this thing is really fucking dark. Like, yeah. But I remember when that part happened, watching in school and looking over, and like there was girls that were crying in the class, and I'm like, but it is sad. You're like, oh bro, because like you get attached to the horse, and it's like, shit, man. Yeah, so that was very, very vivid, bringing back memories, man. That was like very nostalgic for me too. I actually watched.
Same here, man.
I actually took my kid to see the Neverending Story for a daytime showing, like a matinee on the big screen. Really? Yeah, a few years ago. And it fucking scared the shit out of him, man. Like, he doesn't like anything scary. Like, I've come to realize it's kind of ironic that, like, my whole house is, like, filled with horror shit, and he's, like, terrified of everything.
He's surrounded by it.
Oh, yeah, the Neverending Story, I think, like, it traumatized him, I think, to be honest.
Oh, shit.
I don't really think he even wants to watch it again because it's, like, it's like a fucking kid's movie, man. It's like, shit. Yeah. But I love like Naughty. Like when he comes into this, I'm like, shit, man. I'm like, I just want some Cunninlynguists right now. Like, I want a fucking new Cunninlynguists album so bad.
Yeah, they'll have to put it together. I assume on the next one, Sadistik will have a feature on something. So
he has to have one, man. He's got to have one. But yeah, this is it's really dope, man. Really, really dope track. Yeah. Again, the whole death thing is very prevalent through the whole album. But I like that moth light. Yeah. Heading towards the light of death, really, man. That's really cool. All right. Which brings us into the first single off the album, which I hope you have a story for this because, okay, so this is the first single off the album, and it's like the shortest song on the album, besides the intro. Yeah. and it's called Neptune Skin. Like I said, there's a video. Well, it's the first single, and there's a video for it. And the video is really bizarre. It's basically like him in a spacesuit, kind of like in a remote, isolated area, just kind of like discovering shit, I guess. I don't really know. Like he's just kind of looking around. It's like a place supposed to be in space, I think, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely in space. He has his astronaut shit on, and at the end, it's just like he's repeating spontaneous combustion. So
right.
Yeah, but this is definitely a weird track as a first single. But when it came out, I didn't even know that they were doing an album together. Like, I just thought it was a track they did together. And because Sadistik has a lot of like short tracks like this, like
right.
he's been releasing like through his EPs and things of that nature. But yeah, I had no idea they were even doing an album when this came out. So I just assumed it was a track, because it doesn't make sense that this is a single. Like the first single from their album, really. So
yeah, and that's what I was saying, man. Because like, if you were under the impression, like, oh no, and Sadistik, and then you hear the first single and it's this, like, I'm glad that I listened to this album in sequence, because the first shit I heard was the first track, and then the second, like, I heard this literally in sequence. So when it came to this track, which is, what did I say, track 8? Yeah. So this is the 8th track on the album, and I, from doing, as I'm reading along, going, okay, this Neptune Skin is the first single. I left this, like, the song was over, and I was like, why in the fuck would this be a single? Because why would you try to sell your album based off of this song? Because usually the first single is what you want to entice people to, like, get them going, get them, hyped up for the record that's coming out, to buy it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I don't know, like, this would really defer people, in my opinion. Like, the video's odd, but it's short, and it's like, it's the slowest paced song on the album. It's so moody and gloomy, and just like, I don't see how this would ever be this is like a filler song on an album that you would never even consider making a video for, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is what you can do when you're in charge of your own career. You can just put out whatever the hell you want as a single, basically.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great point, because you would have never seen this back in the 90s. No. Because, like, the record labels, like, they decided what was going to be the singles for the most part, unless you had a little bit of creative control, which is probably very seldom.
Yeah.
But, like, right here is a great example. That's a great fucking point, dude. I didn't even think of it like that, but you're right. And this is how odd and in control Sadistik really is, and how confident he is, really, too, because to release this as your first single, there was people that ran from this for sure. And it's like, the beat's not horrible or nothing, but just as a single, like, it just feels to me like it's a perfect album filler song.
Yeah. I actually like this, though. When I listened to it a bunch of times when it first came out, and I was like, God damn, this is one that we were talking about, we're both lovers of the late night headphone experience. So I was like, this is one that you can listen to. Well, the whole album is really like that for me, but this is one that you can definitely just listen to in the dark with the headphones on. Yeah,
this whole album is like a perfect late night headphones album, especially if you're kind of like, if it's raining out and it's like all shitty out and shit, and you're just like not having that, like, if you're not in a great mood, like, it's a great album to throw on in that for those type of days, for sure.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, like, what are your opinions of, like, rolling around listening to this album in a vehicle?
I've done it, man. I've done it the last couple weeks, and I enjoy it.
I only
mostly there's like three or four songs that I listen to mostly, but I've definitely listened to it in the car a couple times.
Yeah, I listened. Usually I'm driving place. I don't even get that much time to listen to music or whatever. So it's like tracks here and there and stuff. But like, there's a couple tracks that sounded really good in a vehicle, but it's just so mood. Like, when I'm rolling around, I like to be like, fucking head nodding and fucking just like, giving her and shit, man. But
yeah, there's a lot of bass in this album too, man. Like, the bass is booming, seat shakers going on. So yeah, I like it in the car as well, but definitely I prefer it in the headphones at night.
Right. Yeah, this is this might even be the strangest first single choice I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it definitely is a strange one for a single.
Right, it's like very, very odd. So yeah, it's, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It's just a very odd track to me, placed right in the middle of the album. It's very odd. And then we go on to a track called 27 Club, and without even hearing the lyrics, I knew exactly what this was going to be about, following the course of what this album was kind of doing to me already. It was fucking with me, and I wanted to kill myself. Not in a bad way, but I was just like, holy shit, this thing is like, it's like depressing, but it's so moody. And like I said, I've been in such a good mood. And I was like, fuck, such a weird album to listen to when you're in a really good mood. But I really like the beat on this one. It's a little bit more up tempo. The drums are fucking hard as fuck on this. And obviously he's referring to the 27 Club, which is, you know, famous, mostly musicians. I know they've kind of like made it a broader theme to it, where they've incorporated like, you know, actors and you know, even some, I think there's even some rappers that are even part of that too. But it started out as the 27 Club was people, these rock stars that kept dying at 27, for the people that don't know, which is most famous, like Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, and Brian Jones, and who else? Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain's probably the main one from our generation. Anyway.
From our generation, yeah. I mean, it started like with the Jimmy and Janis and Jim Morrison, that they all died within a couple years of each other, all at the age of 27. That's actually what started it. Yeah. And then, of course, like Brian Jones, he had died before. Oh, no, he died in that realm, too. I think he died in the late 60s, too. He was the guitar player from the Stones, right?
Okay, yeah.
Which... Actually, his story is actually kind of interesting, because it was ruled that it was an accident, but people think he was actually killed in the pool. It's actually kind of a cool story.
Yeah, there's always conspiracies in all these deaths, especially like with all the different stories about Jim Morrison and his father and everything. It's kind of
with his conspiracies,
interesting.
Like how they just found on the bath. Yeah, actually, that one too. Anton Yelchin is actually you know him as an actor.
Yeah.
He passed away crazy at 27, man, in a weird ass parked car incident that ran him over. It's like so bizarre.
Yeah.
Recently, Amy Winehouse, which I thought that she was an incredible talent. I really liked Amy Winehouse, man. She was so fucking good. Yeah. Such a shame, dude. But anyways, you guys get the point. 27 Club, just people dying. I can't really think of too many rappers. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is Freaky Ta. I can't even think of any of that were 27. Actually, my best friend died at 27, and he was an artist too. Yeah, he was an artist. Man. Yeah, he actually worked with DJ Moves quite a bit, actually. He was in a group called Johnny Number 5 back in the day, and he went on tour. He worked with DJ Moves and a whole pile of guys and stuff, but he passed away when he was 27. It was fucking sad. But I don't really want to talk about that. Actually, and I knew it too. Like when I was listening to this record, I was like 27 Club. I'm like, oh my god, brutal. Like I'm like, it's such a sensitive subject with my best friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew exactly what the song was gonna be referencing. I'm like, shit, dude. But it's actually kind of an interesting beat for the track. It's so hard and a little bit more up tempo, and for like such a song about
man, that's like the drums are like, you know, it's familiar drum sample. Like it's bizarre that it was such an up tempo type song, but his flow on this is like totally different as well, man. It's like
man, I love the chorus, man. Like all my heroes died at 27, so it's if I'm not with them in heaven. I love that line, man. That's fucking great. Dark dreams to see what I threw the depression. Guess I need to start meeting with the Reverend. Like fuck, man. Repeats that a couple times. It's really good, man. It's really good.
So. Yeah, like the last line where it ends is, I dug a grave in the center of the galaxy. I made it shallow to reflect your personality.
Right. Yeah, man. So much good shit, man. Actually, there's a reference in here. It says, razor blades trace the veins. Crazy made me Baby Jane. LSD from the clouds. Maybe I'm gonna make it in the rain. So Baby Jane, like he's referencing like whatever happened to Baby Jane. Like, that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
That film is really cool, man. It's the crazy part that's really cool. And then I think he references he does actually talking to my dog like I'm David Berkowitz. That's cool, man. He was the son of Sam. That's pretty cool. But it's kind of cool, man, because a song like the 27 Club, and it's kind of like this almost comical approach to it a little bit, because he talks about like LSD from the clouds, like doing drugs and this kind of shit. Like it's kind of a different way of incorporating yourself into the 27 Club. It was done a lot differently than I anticipated going into it.
Yeah.
John Wilkes Lincoln rose from a vocal booth. Daisy chasing my decaying state into the great escape. Like, come on, dude. Yeah. John Wilkes Lincoln rose from a vocal booth. Fuck off.
I know, man. That's what it is. It's like everything, almost every line, there's some shit you're just like, what the hell?
I know. It's just crazy, dude. Yeah, some drugs make me energized. Others gave me heavy eyelids, mesmerized by the darkness inside me. Mesmerized from the darkness inside me. Like, that's sadistic sounding. Like, that literally almost, like, Reigns' name.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Good track, though, man. I really enjoyed this one. It kind of took me by surprise. Like, I just wasn't expecting the approach on the beat and stuff. It just didn't seem like it should have been like that. But
yeah, exactly. But it worked, though.
It did. It really did work. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Yep. All right, so get into track 10, which is called Disappear. And this one right here, I believe after I listened to this track, I realized that I may have heard it on DJ Premier's show on Shady 45.
Oh, really?
Yeah, live from headquarters, because I'm fucking positive that they played, maybe this is verse, or maybe I'm tripping, maybe I was listening to the album. I can't even remember, man. I was like, I listen to music so often, and sometimes it's hard to reference where I was listening. Yeah. But anyways, I just remember the third verse by Mibbs when he's talking about Mac Miller and shit like that. And I was I swear I fucking heard. Oh, I think he sampled that shit, man. That's what it was. Because it was Mac Miller's anniversary a little while ago, and they like sampled it. Yeah, I think that's where it came out, because the song had like just come out at the time, and Primo's notorious for playing like new shit, live from headquarters, right? So that's probably why I heard that, because they actually played that verse.
Okay.
Yeah. So most definitely. So I'd actually heard that, and I didn't know what it was in. I didn't know what it was from. Yeah. They just played this thing, and I was like, oh shit, crazy. So
it doesn't sound like the rest of the album, so you wouldn't.
No,
think this is coming from Sadistic.
No, yeah, this one definitely does sound like a little bit different, and it's also different in theme too. It's like literally about getting high.
Yeah,
it's like everyone's smoking drugs and doing drugs and shit. I'm like, that's really crazy, because,
yep.
But so what do you think of Gifted? Okay, this chick's name drives me nuts, man. Like, my question is,
yeah, it should. Yeah, your name shouldn't be that.
No, it shouldn't be, and it really shouldn't be now that Gifted Gab just passed away. And like, when I first saw Gifted, I read it as Gifted Gab, and I was like, oh fuck, and I was like, oh, it's a gift, that chick.
Yeah,
Gifted Gab.
I'm sure most people thought that when they first saw it. Like, you're thinking, oh, okay, but.
And the thing is, though, I actually knew about her and her name before. I heard her on something else or whatever, and I was like, bro, like, I had one of those moments where I kind of rolled my eyes and went, have you never heard a gift of Gab and you named yourself Gifted Gab?
Yeah.
Like, that is way too close.
Yeah.
And kind of disrespectful, because it is so fucking close.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I actually mentioned this once before to my buddy, and he actually fucking laughed out loud. We were talking about A$AP Rocky.
Yeah.
And I was like, how disrespectful is A$AP Rocky fucking naming himself A$AP Rocky? There's an A$AP Rock, right? And he's just fucking pissed. He's like, what a fucking dick. That's a dick move, man. Even though all those guys are fucking A$APs, aren't they? Isn't the whole group?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all A$AP something. Yeah.
A$AP, yeah. Do you ever see the video when they met each other?
Dude, someone actually told me about it. I don't think I've actually ever seen it before, though, but.
Yeah, I remember seeing that a while back. It's like a couple of years ago, probably longer. I'm no good with years and time. Like I can remember everything. Yeah. Like I have a really awesome memory, but when it comes to years, like I couldn't tell you what year things happened, man. Right. It's like it's just for some reason time just doesn't stick with me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a while back, and they're just like in the back. It's like, you saw right, and then they just come up and hug each other and stuff. It's pretty funny. A$AP Rocky to A$AP Rocky.
They should do a track together sometime, man.
They should, man. They should do that for sure.
Pretty funny. I could see A$AP Rocky doing track. I could see them doing a track together for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm like, really, A$AP Rocky? Are you fucking with me?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
But yeah, I mean, this song is pretty self-explanatory. There's actually not like a whole. He actually references God Mode. His own track in this track, God Mode.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Rothko with the gun smoke. It's fucking cool, man. But it's 3 verses about their take on getting high and shit. And Mibbs' verse is pretty cool.
It's funny
in a sense, because he's talking about like, we was on tour with Mac Miller and the shit was different. Rest in peace to Mac Miller. He was my N. but he references the fact, he's like, I think that was a tour was the moment when he started sipping.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, like you can just kind of hear
he went from the first part of his verse was funny, and then he moved on to that, and things got a little bit heavier there. So.
Right. Yeah, this track kind of sticks out, especially when you do a song like kind of in this context, like this type of theme. Coming from where we've been the whole record, it really does stand out beat wise and everything. I almost felt like this was a song that they did and then they end up putting it on the I don't know, I don't, like, you just don't know the thought process when you're doing a record. So maybe they just wanted to change up one of the themes of the songs and stuff, but the guest verses really do stick out in this record because you really focus on Sadistik, and it's really hard to be on his level, to be honest. Nothing to take away from Gifted Gab, because I think her verse is actually pretty good. I think it's better than Mib's, to be honest. But I mean, you're here for Sadistik, and then he's the first verse. He doesn't even anchor this shit, right? So it's kind of like it's over with, and you're just like, okay. But
Sadistik's verse is a little bit higher, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
It's on a higher level.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised that he didn't anchor this beat or this track.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. But yeah, I definitely preferred his verse, and the track itself it's fine. Like, it's a fun track, but
yeah. It's a little bit different. It's just a different,
switches things up. So
it definitely does. All right, so getting into track 11 here is Where You Want Me.
Yeah, man, the love song.
Yeah, the love song dedicated to his fiance, and I believe that's actually her in the video too.
Well, there's a few girls in the video,
but like the one main chick, I guess. Yeah, you're right. I just assumed it was the one chick that I don't even know how to describe it. It's a very like Argento-ish type film, Mario Bava type colored film or video, man. It's super, super vibrant in color, very red, and just
some interesting costumes in there. So
yeah.
But yeah, this is the third single that came out.
Yeah, the third single that came out. It's definitely not my type. I really like the beat and the sample that's used in this.
Yeah.
Like, I love the chorus in this.
Yeah.
I'm really. I mean, I'm not. Even my wife's always like, "You're so opposed to love." Like, I really don't like romance. Like, I know it's funny. I don't know. It's just like, I can't stand romantic comedies and romance and shit like that. But I mean, this doesn't come off as like super corny and stuff. It really doesn't. It's actually pretty well done.
But I thought the beat was beautiful on this, man. And it worked well with the subject matter.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, if this girl listens to this and she doesn't feel something, man, there's something wrong with the girl. So
right. I mean, I'm assuming that she does feel him anyways, because they are engaged. Like, so I mean, there's nothing like making a song about your to-be wife and shit. I mean, there's a lot to be said there. I mean, this guy definitely wears his heart on his sleeve. From what I know about Sadistik, and this is a great example of him kind of changing up the very moody, dark elements of this album, and coming out of the woodworks. And I thought it was very interesting, the structure in the record too, is because like, so we go from Neptune Skin, which is like, okay, so we'll start with Mothlight, which is like going into the the light of death, kind of thing. Neptune Skin, which is very confusing. It's a weird track. I can't even really decipher what the fuck that's about. Then we're talking back to like, joining the 27 Club. It's very deathly. And then Disappear, which is like, we're smoking, we're just having fun. And then he's like, well, I'm high as fuck, so I'm just going to write a love letter to my fiance. Like, right? And then it made me laugh because Rain Clouds 1 and 2 are up next. And I was like, he must have came right down off that shit. Yeah, it's just it's like this roller coaster of fucking themes in the middle of this record. It's so weird how it's structured, but it works. It really does work, I don't know if you could handle like 4 or 5 songs about suicide or suicidal references in a row. You'd be like, oh my God, dude, like, seriously, is he telling me to do this? Because, I might be willing to join that 27 Club with him.
Yeah, man, it is a lot of darkness, but then you see the light. So
you definitely, you see the moth light.
Exactly.
You see the moth light.
Then you're right back into it again.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right though. Like, it's definitely a very beautiful beat, and the chorus works really well in this. And it's a love story.
Yeah, this song grew on me a lot because I didn't really like it when I first seen the video. I was like, whatever. But after you listen to it a few times, you're like, oh damn, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I would rather listen to the song without the video, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like it's a little bit too much for me. Like I find it a little bit because
I'm think the video did put me off a bit. Actually, I think.
Yeah, I'm not a very flashy person, as you can.
Yeah,
like, I'm. I wear t-shirts and like I don't like busy shit. And that video is like it's like super poppy and busy and like just flashy, and it's just not really me. But
yeah,
but yeah, no. But overall, it's good. It's still a good track. You can't take anything away from the writing and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's definitely good writing.
Which leads into Rain Clouds Part 1, which is actually featuring an MC called Lucy Camp, which I don't know much about. Do you know anything about her?
Nah, you know how I feel about female MCs, so
yeah, I'm assuming that she's probably Seattle, like maybe local, maybe knows her from, I don't know. I'm just assuming.
Sure.
I just don't really know, but yeah, these songs like are very, very fucking
But actually,
weird.
I actually didn't mind her. I kind of liked how her voice worked with this beat and just how the subject matter, like it didn't bother me. Like normally, like female MCs, I'm just like, right away.
You know what I love about this song, man? Is because like I'm looking at the song.
The darkness.
Well, it's very dark, but man, that synth bass line is ridiculously hard hitting, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you would think that this beat would be a little bit more mellow, but like it is, but it isn't, because that bass line is like booyah. It's like, fuck, man. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's moody in tone from, the lyrics and shit, which, completely makes sense. And that's another reason why I kind of just assumed that she was from Seattle to be on a track like this, because going back to what we talked about before, Seattle is, it's very suicidal, and it's also, it rains a lot. Yeah. Rain clouds. Yeah. So you got to do 2 parts of Rain Clouds, man.
One's just not enough because it has to get darker from here.
Right.
Just have to get more and more dark.
Yeah.
I kind of like how the end, like it had the storm rolling in it, and it flows right into Rain Clouds Part 2.
Yeah,
so
I like
nice transition.
I like that too. You've seen other producers and stuff do shit like that, but it works really well in this to have. It just works absolutely so perfect. I get what you're saying, man. I love the chorus, though. It's raining outside, and that's not unusual. It's like, it's completely true. It's just not unusual. But the chorus is cool, man. But that bass line is like, shit, man. Bro.
Yeah. Thunderous.
It is, man. It's very thunderous. That's a good adjective for it. Then we got Rain Clouds Part 2. Literally bleeds or flows into Part 2.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It's one step away when I stand on the terrace. Kill what I hate. Maybe channel Ramirez. Yes, yeah. Richard Ramirez, man, the Night Stalker killer.
Yeah, he has a few serial killer references in here as well.
Yeah, the Berkowitz,
yeah,
son of Sam, and of course Richard Ramirez, which I was so happy when they put out that the Netflix series on Richard Ramirez, because I always thought that he was kind of an underrated. I know it sounds really bizarre. I love serial killers, but I always thought that he was a very not talked about as much serial killer, but he was really fucking crazy, dude. He had no MO. He was just,
yeah, man. That Richard Ramirez, he's totally underrated. Man.
Underrated, man. Because
you're a couple guys on the street saying that, you're like,
right? You're like, oh, fucking Bundy, man. He had an MO. Like he hunted and stalked, and then he picked out and then Dahmer. He was just like chewing off guys' penises But like Richard Ramirez was a scary serial killer because he was just like breaking into people's houses and killing, and like there was no rhyme or reason to what he was doing. Is fucking scary, man. That was some scary ass shit, man. Shut down the city, man. It's crazy. Yep. But very dark and gloomy shit right here.
Yeah, I noticed one line he used is "I love myself better than you," which is from a Nirvana song, "On a Plane." So there's another reference to Kurt Cobain, Seattle there as well.
Oh, damn. I didn't catch that one, but now that you say it, like, I love Nevermind. I love the record, so I probably should have got that.
He's like, "I love myself better than you. I'm in heaven. If hell is the present, I meant it for you." So
right, that's totally. I never even caught on to that, but that connection is like, that's beautiful, man. That's awesome. Fuck, man. I still listen to Nevermind, man. Fuck, that's ridiculous. I can't believe I didn't catch that, but That's good shit right there. Now I'm gonna look for like other grunge. I'm looking for some Soundgarden shit here, and no. He actually mentions Phantom Libs in this.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of cool, man.
Yeah. So many good references that you just catch. Like, man, just reading the lyrics, you can sit here all day and just read the goddamn things.
I know it's almost hypnotizing. Just kind of. There's so much to take in. It's hard to like really talk about every individual thing because it's just could be going.
Of all the reviews we've done, I probably listen to this more than anything. Like as far as newer album reviews,
right?
Coming into it, and I'm still so far away from catching everything that's in here. So,
do you know if this, like, where the physicals are going to be for this? Because it was released digitally, but
they did have vinyl, and it was like limited, and it sold out. So I was actually thinking about getting like the real limited one, but it's gone. It was gone. So
right, and that was just sold on like independently kind of thing.
Yeah, it was on their Bandcamp. Like they had the different, you know how they do it on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, we know how you do it. Fucking Bandcamp and they need Bandcamp.
I was gonna buy. I think actually I was gonna buy. I don't know if it was one of his older albums and this CD and something, and the shipping was so goddamn ridiculous, man. It's like, it's so disappointing.
Bandcamp would be such a great site if they would just regulate shipping. If they would make everyone charge the same thing, I think they would do way better in sales and shit. Like, I mean, I get it for internationally, just have a standard shipping for that, but this is like, it ranges from like $7 to like $25-$30.
Oh yeah, man.
It's crazy.
It's like a lot of times you would order a CD and the shipping is more than the CD.
It usually is. Yeah.
It's insane, man. Like,
yeah.
I know we've gone over this so many times, but it's just so goddamn disappointing.
It is, man, because there's sales that are lost. They definitely are. Like I posted that cannabis thing on my Instagram a little while ago. I was, a couple of CDs and the shipping was like fucking double what the 2 CDs were. I was like, what the fuck? Yep. I'm like, this is ridiculous. That's so stupid.
The amount of times I've added stuff like to buy it, and when you get to the cart and you see the shipping, I'm just like, cancel it.
Yeah, done with that shit.
I'm not doing it anymore, man. Like, I was tempted to before, but it's over, man. It's over. I'll just stick with the goddamn digital if I have to.
Yeah, it's the collector in me is just like, I definitely have slowed down. I mean, I buy a lot of older stuff. Like I have stacks of older shit. I don't buy a lot of newer stuff because, if I'm like I buy a lot of stuff off Canadian sellers on Discog. So I've got to know a lot of these sellers too. So a lot of times they'll be like, yo, message me here. And then like, I just bought 10 albums off a guy and he gave me like crazy shipping on them. Like I paid like $10, for shipping, and fucking he gave me like half price on the disc. And he's like, man, you're a good customer. You're always coming back. I'm like, fuck, start those relationships, buy shit like that. And I'm always looking for older shit. Like I bought 10 compilations off this guy, like a bunch of really cool things. And just, you got to dig, you got to take the time. But yeah, for new shit, fuck off.
Yeah.
All right. So Rain Clouds Part 2, and then Blue Tree Meadow. So this is track number 14. This
is suicide.
This is clearly about suicide. He actually references the Akugara forest that's in Japan, which is dubbed the Suicide Forest. Yeah. There's been lots of movies made about it, some really bad ones, which I'm not going to mention, but it's a really infamous forest where people go there to literally kill themselves, and it's like kind of accepted. It's like a beautiful place to kill yourself. I'm like, if that even exists, it's like really bizarre.
I think I watched a film about that you might have recommended before, that you reviewed or something. It was, I think you had a review on I don't know if it's on your podcast or if it was just a review.
Yeah. About the one where the girl was like robbing the people that were fucking killing themselves. Yeah, dude, that's a crazy. That movie goes batshit, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Right. But yeah, like the way this song opens up, like, are you kidding me? Shotgun in my mouth, the one that God forgot about. Paint a Pollock on the wall, hieroglyphics for the fall. I'm like, dude, that's twice in the album he references Pollock with blood stains on a wall.
It's pretty graphic.
I'm like, dude, ridiculous, man. Yeah. I do like he's like. Tried to find the silver bullet lining in a waterfall of Morton salt. He's obviously referring to the 85 movie Silver Bullets.
Yeah.
Which is a great werewolf movie. I think there's another thing that he references in here too. Oh my God, there's just like so many. I think he references crawl space in this track. He does. God die below the crawl space and below the crawl space, only onyx in the hallways. I mean, you could take that as like, he's saying, onyx is in onyx, but he's also referring to black in the hallways. But crawl space, the Klaus Kinski film from 1986. I think he's actually.
I'm not familiar with that one.
I think he's referring to that, to be honest, because just the way it's worded, I'm like, God die below the crawl space, only onyx in the hallways. And I'm like, you know what? Movies and hip hop, I mean, it goes hand in hand right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, in the very last line, buried in a shallow grave, no one found him in the Akugari forest or an overturned bridge. Yeah. So it's very, very depressing.
Yeah, man, this beat's a head nodder though. And Slate comes in with that distorted bass over the top of it, man. It's like, Jesus Christ.
I know. It's crazy how you can make a song specifically about suicide, but make it head nodding.
Yeah.
And then the song not only is like head noggin, at the end of the track, no samples, Gravediggers 1-800-Suicide.
Yeah, the KRS-One feature, man.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, fucking cool, man. And that's one thing that you don't really know. Like, it might be the only sample in this album that's like, from another hip hop track.
Yeah,
like,
it's really recognizable.
Really recognizable, right? Like all these vocal samples, I have no clue. But, yeah, dude, that's really, actually, he mentions Deicide in this too, right?
Yeah.
Mentions, the death metal band Deicide, who were actually, I don't know if it was just rumors where you probably know more about that, but I always remember back in high school, Deicide were like, man, they're real Satanists, man. They're actually real. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, real Satanists? That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's always funny when you hear that. It's like, oh, these guys are real Satanists, like like all the black metal shit, and it's like, it's funny. All the rumors start going.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty gnarly track though, man. Like, when I was like that first line in the track, I was like, holy shit, dude. Now this next song, track 15, which is called Mulholland Drive, which of course I'm looking at the track listing as I'm going listen to this album. I'm like, oh, he's already referenced David Lynch's Blue Velvet. Yeah. So I'm like, he's obviously got to be referring to Mulholland Drive, the David Lynch movie from 2001, I think it came out in. But it's actually not about the movie. It's literally about them driving on Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
And it's almost suicidal again.
It is.
It's like they're driving. It's basically about driving too fast and just hoping that No's verse, and that's the other thing that's really cool about this song. No actually raps the second verse, and he does pretty good. You can tell he's a little bit more reserved in his vocals. Like, he probably doesn't really talk like that. He's kind of more low key and stuff, but he ends off his verse like, might take the exit off the 105, pushing 105, about to put my ride on its side. Hope I don't. It's like, but maybe he kind of does.
Don't die.
Yeah. So it's like very.
Yeah, this like the beat is like, it's like the clouds cleared, the sun came out. It's like the beat is like fun. It's like you're thinking about you're driving real fast, going down the highway and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But still, it's like kind of dark, like you said, though. It's like,
but like that's funny because like when you're driving, especially when I'm on road trips or something like that, if a song that you really love comes on, man, all of a sudden the pedal starts getting closer to the metal. It is like you start driving quicker, man. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean this track is like I don't even know how to explain it. At first, I was like, "This is kind of weird. Like, it's not the beat is different,
Right.
But it's another one that grew on me. Like after I listened to it a few times, like this is kind of catchy. So I like the chorus as well. It's cool. So
the chorus is really cool in the track.
Yeah,
it just caught me off guard that it wasn't actually about Lynch's Mulholland Drive.
I was thinking, am I missing like some references here to the movie? But I mean, I saw that movie, but it's been quite a while since I've seen it. But I didn't really see anything. As soon as I seen the title, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be something related to the film. But
yeah, but then you listen to the track and you're like, well, no, it's kind of suicidal. It's it's kind of fucked up, man. Again, it's just like, and then you go from Mulholland Drive, which is driving too fast, killing yourself and shit, to Quietus, which is completely about your end of days, dying. I'm like, Jesus, man, like, I'm like, how many songs can you do about death? Like, it's literally
we had a break earlier in the album, and then it's just like going down here again.
like there's 3 songs in a row, and like I said, it changes with like Rain Clouds Part 1 and 2, super moody,
Yeah.
you know, stories like that, and then it goes into like 3 songs in a row, basically about death and suicide. And Quietus actually like literally means death, basically. You know, it's like suicide again kind of thing. And I'm like, holy fuck, like it's like he just gave up on this album. He's like, bro, I have all this material about death, and I'm just gonna pile it in at the end of the record. It's so hard to explain. This is kind of a different sounding song a little bit too.
Yeah.
I like.
Did you ever hear the song Chemical Burns he does with Idea?
I believe I have heard that.
It's sort of like the same sort of flow, like it's like and it's like a 3/4 beat. It's like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. It's like that's what it reminded me of as soon as I heard it. I was like, this is like Chemical Burns, like the way he's rhyming here. So,
yeah, I never really thought of that, but yeah, like there's 3 verses that are kind of all connected with the like the 2-bar chorus. So it's like verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, you know, kind of thing. It always kind of like when I hear stuff like this, I always bring it back to like Liquid Swords from the Genius. The way like he'll spit the verse and he goes in the chorus, and it's like all kind of fluent, and then right into the verse. Like there's no breaks, right?
Yeah.
There's no break beats, and it kind of reminds me of that. So it's kind of a different structure to this, but follows the, you know, the cinematic feel of the record though too. Especially in this latter part of the record, it's just like it's so incredibly disturbing how much like how moody and somber it is like towards the end of this record. And then like this track, it's cool, but you're just like, holy shit, dude, like I don't know how much more of this dark shit I can take, man.
Yeah, especially this one isn't one that I can listen to like, you know, when you're in the car or something. Like it's not
right. Yeah. And like, you know, suicide is such a touchy subject, man, because like there's so many people that have been affected by it. Like I had a cousin kill himself a couple years back he committed suicide, and had another one try to kill herself.
Oh shit.
You know, within the last like few years. And it's so like I'm hearing all this stuff about death and suicide and shit, and like and like for me, somebody like me where I've never even said like I don't want to die no matter how bad shit gets, you know, but I get why people do it and stuff. And like, I mean, you can fully never understand, but when you keep hearing it over and over, you're like, bro, like it's just like it's so depressing, because I just feel so bad for like everybody involved in suicides. Like you just don't want that shit to happen. Like it's terrible for everybody. It's selfish. I always think it's super, super selfish. Yeah. But you know, sometimes it's the way it got to go down, I guess. But yeah. So after Quietus, which is very depressing, we got God Mode, which I believe was the second single off the album. Yeah. And it's like he's playing with your emotions here, man. It's so bizarre that you go from all these real moody tracks, death and suicide, raindrops and shit, to, you know, him talking about being godly, like he can do anything. He's invincible. But the way he spits these fucking verses is crazy, dude. There's 2 verses. Each verse is 32 bars apiece, and he just rips this shit, man. It's the hardest he raps on the record. It almost comes across as battle mode a little bit. It is like, if he had a battle track on here, this is probably what it would be. It's like, this is my flow, I'm coming at you, and try and fuck with this. It flows so well. It really, really does. Like, and the beat's dope too, man. It's a little bit more.
Oh man, I love this beat. Like I would like to listen. I would listen to an instrumental of this like over and over. It's put on repeat.
Yeah, it's not as like heavy synth as some of the other stuff. It's a little bit more. It's a little slower BPMs, but which is kind of ironic a little bit, because his flow is probably the fastest on this song. Man. He almost double times the beat in a sense, the way it breaks down. Because I mean,
it's insane.
He spits 32 fucking bars. Like, you just don't see a lot of 32 bar verses, let alone 2 in the same track. Yeah, props on the writing here. But I mean, like I said, you know, Sadistik isn't necessarily a battle rapper, but he comes across as being like, I'm slaying MCs here. Yeah, you know.
And it's like when I see the title. When you see the title, you think God Mode. It's like, all right, so. Is it God Mode rap wise? And then I started thinking like his video game shit is like God Mode is like, you know, it's
invincible.
Like it's like you're invincible. Like in fucking GTA and shit. Like, and then there's like also I was thinking of God of War because he mentions harpies, like dodging the harpies, but that's obviously from Greek mythology, which God of War is based around. But I figured he probably tied it in there somehow with his thought process with video games.
Yeah, see, I'm very very like I know the game. I've never played it. I'm not much of a like gamer. Like I'll play.
I'm not either. But my friend actually said, man, you should play God of War. Because I always just play like sports games or whatever. Like I'll play like UFC, go online and have a few fights with people online. Right. And my friend's like, man, you should check out God of War. So I played like one of the older ones, and then I started playing the last one. And those games are insane, man. Like if you're into any type of Greek mythology as well, like it's all based around that. So they are insane games, man. I love them now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would love to do stuff like that more. I just don't generally have the time.
Yeah, that's why I never did, because I would just, like I said, I would just hop on and have a few fights or something with people online, right? And then just you're done. But these games, once you get into them, man, I definitely wasted too much time playing them.
Right. Yeah, you can totally understand why people just like fall into the depths of these games and play for like just hours, and like people like literally lose their jobs playing video games because they're like, fuck, I ain't going to work today, man. And like,
I used to know a guy like that. He would come into work like he's like, man, I had like 2 hours sleep last night, so. Playing video games all night long.
Every time I think of like people just losing their fucking minds on video games, I think of the World of Warcraft episode of South Park. Oh my god, and I reference this all the time, man. Cartman, more hot pockets. Oh my god, and he's all fucking fat and he's got shit all over his face. Fuck, I laugh every time I think of that episode. I just shit myself. It's so funny.
Yeah,
it's like a fucking epidemic.
But it's reality, man. It's reality too. Like it's not.
It's almost like an epidemic with certain people, man. It's like, fuck, man, all these people, like, wow, how'd you lose I got fired. Why?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I had a good game going, bro.
Yeah, like, I know Sadistik's, like, he always talks about video games on his Twitter a lot as well. He's like, oh, I'm playing this now. This game is so awesome. So
Right.
It's like, how much time does this dude have, man? He's writing all these crazy songs, and he's, like, playing video games all the time. He's, like, watching movies all the time. Knows all this shit. It's like, Jesus, he must be maximizing his time, man. It's like, god damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's all time consuming, right?
He said before in an interview I seen a while back, he's like, he doesn't really like to go out or anything. He's kind of like a hermit type of thing, so he likes to stay at home and just, I guess he must just spend all his time writing and watching and playing video games. So.
Right. Yeah, man, God mode is would seem to me would be the perfect first single. I'm not really too sure what he was thinking with Neptune Skin.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
of the whole entire album, this would be the first song that would come to my mind as being the single.
Right. Because like this album as a whole is great, but like it's, if you were like working for a record company and you're like, Sadistik handing this album, this is exactly what I would be like. I'm like, bro, you got to put out, this has to be the single because everything else is gonna make people either kill themselves because like they're gonna take the shit too serious, or it's just too gloomy.
But like his fan base now at this point knows what to expect. Like I know when a song like that comes out, and it's like, if they're doing an album, then there's gonna be a lot of variety on it as well. So
yeah, and I also want, you know, for people out there that are listening to this, I am joking about that. I don't think people take that shit. I mean, there is definitely people that take things a little bit too serious, but at the same time, Sadistik not once is ever saying go kill yourself or anything. It's nothing like that. This is all personal stuff to him. He's not like advocating for that, and he's never, you know.
And one thing as well I've noticed is, like, as being a fan of Sadistik, if you read comments in his videos, like there are so many people saying, man, your music saved me. Like, so many of them. Like, it's not just one or two. Like, they're on pretty much every song. Like, you'll see one or two on every song, people saying that.
You know, I noticed that shit on especially in the emo era of Atmosphere music too. Like when he put out the Lemons album, they did about 3 or 4 albums kind of on that like real real emotional, like really heart-driven tracks and stuff. Like he'd write those songs about his dad and dog. Like they were just like crazy written songs. Like, it was so different than what we were listening to for years with Atmosphere and stuff. And it kind of got to the same point with that too, where the fans were just like, bro, like, you know, your music gets me through hard times because there's other people that have these stories and, you know, tell these things and, you know, save me, like music saved me kind of thing. And like, you know, there's even a track on this album that's kind of the same thing, right? I mean, death or music literally saves people. So, but yeah, this track is bananas. It's definitely, but like if I was to show somebody a track off this to get them into the record, it would be God Mode. Yeah,
that's what I mentioned to you right off the bat. I was like, just we could review this. Just listen to God Mode. That's one I like a lot. I think you might like that one. So
yeah, and you know, I'm glad the way the album played out though, because you know, I didn't listen to it. I just popped in the record, and I'm glad that like You Don't Know was like the first song on the record, because it really fucking sucked me in. It really, really sucked me in. I was like, oh, this might be special. And then it just kept going. Like it never really goes away, right? You kind of have that same feeling through the whole record. And then God Mode hits, and he like loses his mind lyrically on this. It's just ridiculous. It's not really a lot of references. It's more of what he's doing. And yeah, it's
some of it as well. I was taking it as like he's like one of the portions he says, "When I lie in the rubble, they admire the struggle. I'm trapped in cocoons with the lightning and thunder that I hide in my jugular, providing my blood for the Draculas too." So it's like they admire the struggle that he's going through.
Right.
But it's like he provides the blood for the Draculas. Like, so it's basically.
Oh yeah. That's a dope line, man. I like the one that he actually does. He does like I'll burn with the gods. I'm a martyr. Then turn into autumn. Sonata, Donata, Desade on the Marquee. I'm dodging the harpies. I'm like Desada on the Marquee. I'm like, dude.
Yeah,
Marquis de Sade. I mean, that's fucking amazing. I have so many movies based on that shit. It's like basically porno. It really is, man. There's so many Jess Franco shit on like Marquis de Sade, and it's like all porno, man. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, I guess there's references through here, but he just goes ape shit, man. Lyrically.
Oh, it's insane, man. It's insane.
Yeah, the flow is like, it's tight as fuck on here.
Yeah.
And then probably the most unique song on the record is the very last song on the album, which is called Serpents, The Trial of Lucifer.
Yeah.
This track actually I was like, whoa, that's really interesting to write a song like that.
It is.
And it's Kno that raps from God's point of view, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because he changes his voice, and I was like not 100% sure on that. I was like, is that Kno?
At first I was like, but it has to be Kno. Unless it's God himself. He might have hired God himself to do the track. I don't know.
It's got to be Kno. He just changes his voice just, you know, to, you know, play kind of God and stuff like that. But Sadistik obviously plays the Lucifer, and he's asking God why he basically created what the fuck he did and stuff. And there's some really, really good lines in this, and it's short, but it's really effective for what it does, man. Like,
yeah, I like the way it's structured as well. It's like the first two verses it's sort of like the opening arguments, right? It's like, you know, Sadistik explains who he is with the devil side, and then God explains who he is with his, and then the third verse is like they're going back and forth.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the debate at that point.
Yeah, so the first verse starts out, I'm the bringer of the light, the singer of the demons, and the feeder of the fires, the keeper and the live. People use their mind to free their minds. And then goes on, and then Kno comes in, he's like, I'm the shepherd of the sheep, the cure of the lepers, and the shelter for the weak. Which, you know, that's godly, right?
Yeah.
And then the third verse starts out and it's like, when misery is present, you don't fix it or give sympathy. You're clipping my wings. I used to be an angel. You remember that? And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, totally right, because he was he was a bandaged fucking angel, man. He was sent down and shit, and it just keeps going and going, and it's really cool how it explains away and stuff. And but where's the one line? Oh, what does it say?
I like the first of the third verse where Sadistik is like, why would you create a wooden cross to watch your son die?
Oh.
And Kno is like, there's not a sunrise I wouldn't cross to watch the sunrise.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I went down too far. Yeah, you're right. That is, it's at the beginning. You wouldn't create a wooden cross to watch your son die. Oh man. It's like,
it's insane. It's like,
it's really thought provoking, because he's really questioning, like, why the fuck would you have created the products to create this and then allow your son to die on a cross? Like, it's really, it's like not cryptic at all. It's just like, it's straight in your face, bro. But
the comeback is so good though, man. It's like, there's not a sunrise I wouldn't cross to watch the sunrise. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Really fucking good stuff, man. Yeah. We go out on a limb and say that Sadistik wrote this whole thing and no rap the other parts.
That's what I assumed. Yeah.
Yeah. Such a good response, man. Yeah. And I love that. I'm tired of the cryptic speech, riddles, and the mystery. When misery is present, you don't fix it or give me sympathy. So good, man. You clip my wings. I used to be an angel. You remember that?
Yeah.
If I recall, non-severing your choice was Nepeta. Yeah, man. It's just really good. It's really fucking good.
The other one I liked, he's like, I always do the dirty work punishing the sinners. I'm the hero that the world deserves. You're nothing but an image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is a suffering? A gift to learn the value of the moments, and serpents necessary to deliver their atonement. That's bullshit. It's the only swear word in the whole record.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
That's bullshit. The only hell I see is the world you made. You never understood the real meaning, so you lurk in the flames. Yeah. Right. Ooh, it comes back with some heat right there.
See, man, it's like we could go through this every song like this. Like
we could actually. This would actually be a fun song just to like rap between two of us, because then you just because it's like literally back and forth line for line. But
yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's actually like an incredible track.
Yeah,
very interesting way of leaving the album off. So yeah, so that is the entire breakdown of the record. Bring me back when the world is cured. I was gonna say cursed. When the world is cured. Which
that would fit as well.
It does. It really does fit right from that last track. Brings you right back to the title, and then you just start again, right? Burning Suns. So what do you got for 3 tracks?
This is hard, man. But top 3, I would go God Mode, Apple Valley, and Ghostly Key. I'll go with those 3.
Oh, interesting, man. Yeah, okay. I got... I didn't really rank them, but I'd probably go with God Mode is probably my favorite track on the record. Then Mothlight and You Don't Know.
God damn. Well, we got one right together anyway, so yeah. But yeah, man, there's so many good tracks on this. Like Mothlight, awesome track. Blue Tree Meadow was definitely an honorable mention for me. Yeah, so many good tracks.
I just had no idea. Like, I actually picked 3 tracks. I forgot to do that, but I was going to say, I'll guess your tracks and you guess mine kind of thing. But I did pick God Mode. I did guess God Mode. And I put The Earth Is Empty and Mothlight. I don't know. I just didn't know what to fucking pick for this. It was just so hard.
Yeah, I like those as well. Like, they're all the ones that you said are songs that I enjoy. So yeah.
So we had one of the same, which, I kind of figured that God Mode would definitely be there because it really is like that standout kind of single track off here for sure. But it's worthy of being mentioned because it's fucking dope, man.
Yeah.
So, that was really fun. That was fun to talk about. I wasn't sure. Like, I'm so glad.
Yeah, man, I am super happy that you enjoyed this so much, because I always know when I mention Sadistik, you're like, Sadistik. But maybe now if you can go back to listen to some of his older stuff, like, I'm not sure, you never listened to Flowers for My Father before, did you?
No.
Okay, because it's not like the trap stuff. Like his last album as well, Haunted Gardens, nothing like that.
Even going back to the whole trap thing, I'd be curious to even check out that stuff, because I've come around on a lot of that stuff. So I'd be curious.
You might like it better now.
Yeah, like I listen to a lot of different stuff, right? So I just kind of try to keep it fresh and stuff. And it'd be interesting to go back to see what I even think about Altars, right? Because that was my biggest complaint. I was like, dude is lyrically sound. Like, this guy is rocking some good fucking words, man. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, man, I definitely got to go back through. Maybe I'll try to find some cheap copies around and stuff. I really want to get my hands on Phantom Limbs, though. Just to have a copy.
I enjoyed this a lot more than Phantom Limbs. I know a lot of people love Phantom Limbs. Like, I didn't think it was, superb. Like, not on this level, man. Like,
right.
This is a whole other level for me.
Right. I listened to it the other night, and I was the same way. Phantom Limbs to me feels like it's a collection of songs. This feels like an absolute bona fide, like, Kno and Sadistik sit down in the studio album. Like, they sat there with their heads together and like, this is what we're doing. But I don't know. They could have done the same thing on that one too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I only listened to it once through, and
it's just how this feels. Like, this feels like a legit album that they both worked on together.
Yeah. I just kept thinking the whole time I was listening, I'm like, I wonder how much they paid for this Chino XL verse. Because I remember Chino at one point was charging like ridiculous, man. Like I heard a story that he wanted 10 grand for a verse. And I was like, Chino gets 10 grand for a verse?
That's crazy, man.
I was like, bro, that's fucking crazy. I know Vinny Paz actually fucking gets a lot for his guests, and he does a lot of them too. So people are like willing to pay for it. But I was like, 10 grand from Chino?
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's dope, but like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I was like, what? That's crazy, man. This is absolutely insane. But
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that's gonna do it, man.
Well, no, hold on, we didn't rate the album. We got to give a rating.
Oh shit, yeah, we totally didn't.
Do the official rating here.
Oh yeah, that's right, because I scrolled up. Yeah, so what do you give this one a rating? What do you rate this one?
I'm going with a 9 on this.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same, 9 out of 10. Like I said, the one down moment for me is Neptune's Skin, to be honest. Like I'm so confused.
I
by
like that track as well, but
like I don't hate the track. I'm confused by it. I'm just like the video, the song itself. I really just don't even understand it.
Yeah,
I really don't get it. But it's not like I dislike. There's not one track on here that I dislike. I even like the opening intro. Man, Burning Suns is dope.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, 9s. Yeah, that's pretty much where I got to be on this one. It's really good. I highly recommend this, even if you're not a fan of Sadistik. If you're a fan of Cunninlynguists and knows production, man, you got to check it out even for that. Definitely. You know, you might even find yourself really delving into those lyrics, man, because they're pretty crazy. Yeah. So,
yep.
But yeah, that is, wow, this has gone on for a long time. Holy shit.
I don't know what time it is.
I'm thinking this has gone on for almost like 2 hours. It's crazy. Damn. It's like a fucking full-on podcast, man. Just for
and if we did break down every song, like I said, we'd be here for hours. Like so. Right. So if you're a fan of like longer albums and getting into lyrics, you like you said, if you like Knows production, definitely give Sadistik a try.
Yeah, it runs about 56 minutes, I believe, which is for now,
it's very close to an hour.
Yeah, which is pretty long by today's standards, but it doesn't feel long when you listen to this record. I tell you, man, it feels like you listen for 25 minutes of music. It just rips by.
Yep.
It really does. It's crazy. And that's a really good sign. It's a really good sign. It doesn't drag at all. No filler. But yeah, man, so we're out of here, man. We're out of here. We got a throwback album for next show, which probably be on a couple weeks, whatever. And then we'll probably, I don't know, I got a general idea of what I'd like to do for episode 10, milestone episode.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll talk about that after. But,
yeah, right on.
All right, man. So we're out of here. And see you guys in the next episode.
Awesome, man.
Deuces.